Irene, is anyone online, or you have to?
I haven't broadcasted yet. Do you guys want
Okay.
to broadcast now?
No, let's just wait a couple of minutes.
Okay.
Do
you want to give Ty my number so he and I can talk while you guys are certain?
I see his name now in the panelist, so I think he.
There you go.
I made it. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
What happened? Did you figure it out?
Yeah, I don't know. It kept giving me a network error pop-up. It wouldn't let me go through. I'm not really sure why.
All right.
But made it on here.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Ty, I have my screen shared. Do you want to share your screen?
That would probably be better, so he has control over what he's doing.
Stop share.
Yeah, you stop share. Let's Ty start share. Okay. Irene, let's start broadcast. We are not going to start the meeting, but that so that they know that we are here and they are not wondering what happened.
Okay, I'm going to start the broadcast now.
Okay. Good evening. We are going to start the meeting in a couple of minutes. We are just waiting for, a few more people to join. Irene, any sense for how many are online?
Yeah, 4 right now.
Okay, let's just wait a couple of more minutes.
The numbers are going up slowly.
Yeah. How many now?
Yeah.
How many?
6.
6, okay. We'll wait another minute or so and start 2 minutes from now.
Okay.
Irene, at some point, you want to mention how to make comments, or Dave, are you going to be doing that as part of your introduction?
I will do the introduction, including introducing Irene, at which time Irene will go over the housekeeping rules.
Great, great. Okay.
We're up to 8 now.
Okay. One more minute and we'll start. Okay. Good evening, and thank you for joining us this evening for the first community meeting to hear about and provide input on the design of the Mission Boulevard Linear Park. I am Alex Emery. I'm the Director of Public Works for the city. The Linear Park is truly a great community amenity and asset for this part of Hayward. The design and construction of this park was supposed to be included in the design and construction of Mission Boulevard Phase 2 improvement project. However, due to some budget constraints, it was postponed to a future date. Earlier this year, City Council authorized staff to begin the design process and develop an engineer's estimate for the project. Based on the engineer's estimate, the City Council will decide how to proceed with the project and the level of improvements that may be provided. The purpose of this evening's meeting is basically to get input from community members, from yourself. We are going to present the project to you, share some slides with you, but the main purpose is to hear from you and receive your comments and input. I now turn this over to Dave Hung, who is the project manager for the Linear Park. He was also the project manager for Mission Boulevard Phase 2, and he's very, very familiar with this area and this project. Dave?
Thank you, Alex. If we can go to the second slide, please. Thank you, Alex. I am Dave Hung, Senior Civil Engineer with Public Works. I'm excited that we have finally started the design stage of this project. This project, as mentioned, as Alex mentioned, is an important one because the Linear Park is adjacent to the Mission Boulevard Phase 2 project, which is now completed. An improvement to the Linear Park will make this part of Mission Boulevard that much nicer. So the agenda for tonight, I'll start with introductions. Then our consultant, Surface Design Inc., will go over the project description and what the current park looks like. Part of the design process, as Alex mentioned, is very important in getting, excuse me, in getting your input. So there will be a community question and answer portion, followed by public comments. And then we'll wrap up with closing comments. Next slide. For this one, I'd just want to introduce our team. Alex Mary, who spoke earlier, is the Director of Public Works. We also have Kathy Garcia, Deputy Director of Public Works with us this afternoon. We have Michelle Koo. Michelle Koo is the city's landscape architect. And of course, our host tonight is Irene Perez, who will now go over some of the housekeeping items. Irene?
Thank you, Dave. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I just wanted to make a quick note that at the end of the presentation, like Dave said, we will be opening up the floor for questions and discussions, and you'll have the opportunity to share your thoughts or comments on the presentation. To do this, you will have to use the Zoom feature called Raise Your Hand. If you are joining via the Zoom app, you're going to see this option in the lower center of your screen. If you click that, it will raise your hand, and I will have the ability to see that and call upon you. If you dialed in using the meeting phone number, you will have to dial *9 on your keypad, and that will raise your hand for you. We'll be calling on you one by one once the discussion section opens up. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Irene. So we were very excited to be working with our consultant, Surface Design Inc. I'll at this point hand this over to the founding partner of Surface Design Inc., James Lord, for introduction of the design team. James.
Great. Thanks, Dave. And hello, City of Hayward. It's so great to be able to work with you again. I think one of the most rewarding experiences we've had on doing these kinds of scale projects and for great cities like yourselves was with La Vista Park. And we're just very excited to be able to have this opportunity to work with you again. We are a landscape firm that we're based in San Francisco. We're on Pier 33 when we actually are all in one place. And we're about 30 people. And we have two other consultants, RJA, our civil engineers, and Brookwater, our irrigation. Because as you know, water is a major concern when it comes to this part of the world. And as you can see here, this is La Vista Park that we really had an amazing opportunity to work with you through these kinds of, it wasn't necessarily through Zoom meetings, but it was over many a meeting. At least they served coffee and donuts. So I apologize, can't do that online right now. But this park was really came about by the conversations with the community and what they needed and where we are. And we're very excited that is progressing right now and moving through all the works to be under construction soon. So if you want to go to the next one, we're just going to give you a little flavor of some of the work we've done around the Bay. And again, in this case, irrigation was a really important thing. And then we've also did the entrance to the Golden Gate Bridge. So just like the kind of community we're sitting on here, this was the front sort of door, the iconic element for San Francisco that had many a visitor that didn't really know how to get to the bridge. So we created this plaza and elements in the plaza that help wayfind and tell you about what you're looking at. Like the model you see in the corner there is actually a model of the bay underwater. And then you can see the headlands on the other side there. So you can interpret actually what you can't see with this model. So these kinds of elements of connecting to the bigger landscape are really important and really talk about how our project can connect to the neighborhood. Next. I apologize if there's a delay. My connection's not that great.
So this is Land's End.
There we go, Land's End. Thank you, Alex. I appreciate that. So Land's End, this is a really interesting project that we completed literally right above where the Cliff House is. I don't know if anyone's been out there to San Francisco, but it's sort of the far west edge of San Francisco. But what's so great about this project, and to give all hope when it comes to people that have budgets that seem to disappear on you, is this project was done for literally almost nothing. And this really was an amazing relationship to community and the neighborhoods adjacent to this project. All the plant material you see there is native plant material. It was actually collected by volunteers and is from the watershed, so from the region here, and then was also planted by the volunteers at the same time. And this is completely non-irrigated, so there's no irrigation. This is all purely native kind of environment. So it is possible to do something for nothing. The wood benches you see there, which are created so that our handicapped and impaired visitors can sit at along with their friends, actually came from those trees that you see in the back. Those forested trees were harvested and then reused on site. So really trying to reestablish the native landscape that was here through these dunes and dune screens and the recycling materials. So we love working with whatever we've got at hand. Next.
RJ and Brookwater.
Okay, and these are some illustrations of some of our fellow team members that we're working with. These are other projects they've done very close to you guys, so they're well aware of the kinds of engineering and issues that we have to work with within Hayward, and have a great rapport with the city already. And as I mentioned, we're working with them currently on La Vista Park. And then Brookwater Janet is one of the most knowledgeable people in California for the right kinds of uses. It looks like there's a lot of water use there, but she's this whiz at basically creating the ability to have environments like this using little or no water. So we're very excited to have her on board as well as Eddie and Dominic, which will be joining the team from RJA. So now I'm going to pass the baton on, know a little bit about me, and so you get tired of my voice. I'm going to pass it on to my fellow team member to talk about what we understand the project description is and what's out there right now.
Good evening,
You wanna
everybody.
take it over?
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ty Jones-Powell. I'm a designer at Surface Design. Will be the project manager for this particular project. We're really excited to work with you. I'm also the project manager on La Vista, so I'm excited to be working with the Hayward community again. And what we're really, this is a different park than La Vista, but all the more interesting, given its context within this sort of larger green network of Hayward. And you can see the project site there highlighted in pink. We're right on Mission Boulevard, kind of a main spine that runs north to south through Hayward and connects all these different kind of neighborhoods and communities. Not only along the street, but along the really extensive bike network that connects all of the green spaces within Hayward. As we zoom into the site, we can see here that Mission Boulevard Linear Park really is sort of the green spine that runs through the Fairway Park neighborhood. And you can see here we're bookended by a high school and elementary school with a sort of vibrant commercial community core right in the middle, and surrounded by residential. So, and residential that really has pretty great access to this park. And you can see here that sort of green spine that runs the length through the Fairway Park neighborhood here. And also the adjacencies up to the Dry Creek Pioneer Regional Park. As we walk through the current conditions here, we can see the 6 to 7 foot wide asphalt path that sort of meanders through, starting at the south end there on kind of towards Blanche Street. And as we work down, we can see, we have this great collection of mature trees, redwoods, magnolias, a few ginkgos. And, there's this really great sort of asset that's already in place in the park that we definitely want to sort of frame and definitely retain as part of the new vision for Mission Boulevard. Along with some of the improvements that were done as part of the phase 2 street improvements, the new plaza and landscaping at the corner of Blanche Street with signage for the city as you come in, since this is the sort of southerly entrance to the city of Hayward along Mission Boulevard. Understanding too, there's this kind of series of exercise equipment that was installed as part of an Eagle Scout project. When we were on site, we did see a few of these in use. And these are definitely elements that we want to sort of frame, and incorporate into the new vision. And then looking down the length of Mission Boulevard at the newly completed Phase 2 street project with new protected bike lane and planted buffers, which will really help the park feel like it extends a little bit wider than it actually is, and really can sort of capture Mission Boulevard as sort of part of the park as well. Our typical crosswalk condition, accessing from the west side here. And then at the north end, looking back at that, along that 6 to 7 foot wide asphalt path, back towards the sort of commercial core and shopping center across the street. And highlighting here the newly installed street lights and pedestrian lights, which are to remain in the new design. A typical cross section here, we have about a 60-foot average width along the length, with the protected bike lane to the left there, and understanding that our meandering path is working its way through this kind of series of mature groves with some sort of sporadic screening along the Fairway residential neighborhood fence line, which is something that we would love to get your input on: how much screening, how little, etc. Going kind of further into site analysis, looking at the existing circulation, we have approximately a mile of length. So understanding that, this park is used for walking, for jogging, strolling in the evenings, that sort of thing, and understanding that, we could potentially layer in networks and different length loops along the overall length here. And then in the kind of blow up there on the top right, looking at what the kind of typical entrance condition to the park is, where you're coming, sort of filtering through the residential neighborhoods and coming into the park at the intersections. So understanding that those are sort of critical moments in the park. And then identifying memorial trees and significant groves that are to remain. And we are working with the city on an interim tree care plan to maintain those trees until we get to construction and the final sort of irrigation plan is in place. And kind of highlighting some of those different groves to save and to sort of cherish in the new design. And then probably one of the coolest parts of the park is the sort of view corridor and the view back to the rolling hills to the east, where we have these sort of pocket views as we look to the east, and you can sort of understand that you're kind of walking parallel with the East Bay Hills, something so sort of distinct to Northern California. And I'll hand this over to Tim to talk about our design process.
So I'm Tim Kirby, a principal with Surface Design. And I want to touch on process a bit about what we're presenting to you and how it can be facilitated further through the design efforts, as well as some of the principles behind what we're going to be striving for. So I want to make note that this is just the first of 3 meetings. So we're here, as Alex said, to listen to you, kind of introduce what the project is. And then as we go into meeting 2, which will be in a subsequent different Zoom meeting, we'll start to share some of these design ideas based on feedback that we've had from you. And then part 3, community meeting 3, will be a kind of finalized design presentation for that. So we'll be following up with that. As part of this process, we'll have a pop-up event on Monday where you can, that's on the City of Hayward website, where you can come talk to us further. If you maybe don't feel comfortable talking in this forum, you can reach out to us in person. And additionally, there'll be a questionnaire on the City of Hayward website too that you can outreach and have a way to express some further voice through that. Because this, again, as we've all said, this is really important. This is your park for you, and we want to make it successful, that it meets the neighborhood's objectives too. In terms
Tim or
of
Dave, can you talk about the date for the pop-up event?
Sure. So this would be on Monday. We have an AM that starts at 7 to 10, and this will be at the Blanche corner where the sign is, where the Hayward sign is. And then in the afternoon from 4 to 8 will be one at the Corinne corner, Mission and Corinne. This is Monday, the 28th AM in an afternoon time.
Thank you, and sorry, Tim.
Not a problem. And we'll, social distanced. We'll have a tent there and a table, so we'll abide by space and have masks as you're comfortable. So, but yeah, in terms of principles, go to the next slide there, Ty. These are some of the ideas that we want to just bed in the park. The research and gathering is just what we've been kind of going through here, is really understanding what makes the park, what the neighborhood is, and what your voice is. So we really want to infuse that into what we're going to do. Part of that is engaging with you through different mechanisms. So the pop-up event and the survey. Utilizing city resources is something kind of James touched on. Is how do you be strategic about available infrastructure in a sense, or landscaping that may not be apparent initially, right? You just kind of think that you need to buy a plant or buy some soil, but you may be able to look for opportunities of resources through the greater part of Hayward to share and kind of express your representation. And then planting and propagation is this notion that, hey, how can we engage the community? Are you interested in knowing more? Or do we want to tell a story about low demand water use and put up to that? Or do you want to actually be there to watch the planting process? So make this kind of something more than just a, hey, we built it, now you can come. We want you to be part of this journey. Go ahead, Tom. So I touched on bay-friendly landscaping notionally. This is an idea that's really important to us about low water use, but also that California landscapes can be pretty beautiful through that. Like you get the rolling hills here that have their kind of natural ecologies, and we can exaggerate that and express that also into kind of a garden aesthetic. Go to the next slide, where you can amplify that as well. We can find the beauty through that in different ways. So we're going to play with the tensions of that and dualities of that to make this a great and wonderful park for you all. Next. Additionally, placemaking is important to us. So how does the park be a connected whole? We know that there's segments through multiple streets, and so we want to look at bringing some life to that and feeling like it's kind of a broader marker as it's part of the Mission Boulevard adjacencies. Next. I'll let Dave speak to this slide, project budget.
Great, thank you, Tim. So the design and of course the construction of the linear park needs to be done within the budget. Currently, there is a total of 2.8 million funded for the project total. The estimated cost breakdown for the construction is about 2.2 million. The design cost is $400,000. And then the administration, inspection and testing during construction is estimated at 200,000. So for that total of funded 2.8 million. This is the estimated project timeline. So of course, where we are right now is having our first community meeting. After we get the community's input, we'll work on getting the conceptual design, which will be presented in the second community meeting around November. Then with your comments and input, then we work on the next phases of design. And before we get to final construction documents, when we're at 100%, there will be, of course, a third community meeting around, right now we're estimating in April of 2021. And then tentatively, construction will start around the fall of 2021 and is estimated to be completed around the summer of 2022.
So this is meant to hear from the community, and what we're going to do is set up. We have about 5 or 6 questions. We'll put them on the screen, and this is the moment where maybe I might ask Irene in just a moment to kind of re-comment about that process for raising your hand. But what we do is we do want to hear from you all on this. So we ask that you keep it to about 2 to 3 minutes in kind of your response and try to get through everybody through that. But again, there'll be about 5 questions and we'll pause on each one to let that hand raising go.
And this is not a test, so there is no wrong answer. So don't think we're looking for something, but what we are looking for is to have you question and think about what you want for the park and things that have influenced what you think parks are, and you'll see. And because my voice is the most delayed, I will let Tim follow through with the questions so that so you get it in real time and not in the past. All right, all yours, Tim.
Absolutely. And I'll reiterate again that after these 5 or 6, we'll have a public forum too where you can share other things we didn't address in the questions. First one is, while I'm at Mission Boulevard Linear Park, I usually spend my time blank. We want to hear what some of your experiences are about there currently, so we understand that.
Just a reminder, we are using the raise your hand function. I do see some hands raised now, but if you're dialing in via your phone, please dial *9. I'm gonna go ahead and call on our first attendee, Paul Davidson. Paul, can you unmute your phone?
Thank you. So I spend most of my time walking through the park, but I have concerns that during the time of planning and everything, that the park area is deteriorating rapidly, and it's feeling very blighted at the moment. Is there any plans to take care of that?
And Paul, you're wondering during construction if there's plans to take care of it during this current process?
My question is not only during the construction process, but until the construction process. Now, the construction process is going to start for about a year. What are we going to do in the meantime?
Currently, there's some things in play. What we're looking at, there won't be a modified design, but there are efforts to take care of the trees, an interim tree plan. So some of those strategies for maintaining what's there to foster the new design. What we could do, okay, Paul, is could we come back to this during the public comment and touch on it again then in about 20 minutes? Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Paul. Okay. Next speaker is going to be, I'm sorry if I mispronounce your name, Minani. Please unmute your phone.
Hi, yes, my name is Minan, and I appreciate taking my question. I've spent a lot of time on that park course, but only to pick up trash over the last 25 years. It's an extremely busy area, as you know. It's not your traditional park, and I don't think it should be treated that way. I think aside from the park course elements, people don't linger. They move through it. There's a lot of cars, a lot of pollution, a lot of noise. My personal preference is to just make it a park that is comfortable and clean and easy to maintain so that the city can stay on top of it. I'm speaking for myself, obviously, but I hope that you will emphasize your design elements so that they don't get trashed easily. They stay attractive for the next 10, 20 years. And the property is very easy to maintain and contains a lot of trees. Because like I said, it's not your traditional park. So Please remember that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and we have Mimi. Please unmute.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Mimi Bauer, President of the Fairway Park Neighborhood Association. I'm so happy to see that Surface Design is going to be handling this. I think you created a beautiful vision for La Vista Park. One thing I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to just reiterate what Minan Jameson said, and that is this linear park is along a busy street. And people throw trash out from there. And believe it or not, people walk along that park and throw trash there. And I think sometimes there must be people who hide in the oleander bushes, homeless people, and leave trash. And so what do I spend my time doing? For a long time now, I have not walked the linear park. I used to go for walks there. My son is the Eagle Scout who put the park course in, and his vision was to start down at the southern end, and hopefully when money comes around for more things and the park gets updated, that the city could continue the park course equipment to that block that is across from the shopping center. And if that does become a reality, we can give you the name of the company that was used so that the equipment is the same color and style and whatever. But I am concerned about trash because I would love to use that park again to walk and use my son, the equipment my son put up. But it is always just so dirty. And I love the lovely no-mow drought tolerant grass. And I would think that that would be great, except for one thing, that will catch a lot of trash. And so it will be a trash collecting park instead, if you think only about what's going to look lovely and be drought tolerant, as opposed to what's lovely, drought tolerant, and does not help collect more trash. So please take into consideration the trash blowing around that will hit that area, as well as the noise from the cars.
Thank you, Mimi.
Mimi, that's awesome. I too am an Eagle Scout, so it made me very happy to see what your son has done to the park, and to hear from you that to continue that element through the park would be definitely something we'd be looking to do. And also, you know, maintenance, I think, of any kind of park like this is going to be really critical. So that's part of the design as well. So thank you for raising all those conditions, because I want you back in that park and I don't want you picking up trash. And so we will do our best to do that.
Okay. We're gonna move forward with another caller, Marie. I'm gonna go ahead and unmute you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I usually walk my dog on that park, and one of my concerns is the surface of the path. When it's a hot day, that's very hot on my dog's paws. So I would like somehow incorporated some grass along where the path is, so that the dogs don't burn their little paws. That would be one thing. And I agree with the several of the other callers regarding the trash as a problem. In fact, I just got some materials for Adopt a Block, and I'm hoping that I can recruit some of the people that are here to try to keep that facility up. But one of my big concerns, water's very expensive in Hayward, and I've noticed that we're watering the weeds. And until this gets completed, that seems like a big waste to me. And if those could be turned off until we get to the construction phase, I think that would make sense. And someone mentioned the oleanders. Yes, walking by some of the oleanders is a problem for me because it looks like homeless people do go underneath them. And there's one place in particular that looks like it's a good place to sleep if I was homeless. And so those need to be taken into account so that we don't have that. Walking, I think we should have more boulders maybe, so people can sit down and rest a little bit. I'd also like to see another crosswalk on Rousseau so that you can go to the shopping center from either Corinne or Rousseau and not have to go all the way to Fairway if that's too far for you. So I think that's it. I do like your idea of painted sidewalks. I think that's really nice. And wildflowers and native plants, yes, yes, on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Marie.
So Irene, it looks like those were the hands I see.
Yeah.
Good. And I just want to acknowledge that we are seeing some of the chats. So thank you for that. I'll just reiterate. So we see walking the dog, a place for our dogs would be nice. A gravel strip adjacent to the asphalt with a cool surface for the sensitive for doggy feet. So I just want to let you know we're seeing that, and thank you for sharing that. We could go ahead and click to the next question. We'll just kind of keep running through because again, this is to hear your thoughts on this and to get a sense of you too. So we got some of this already from you, which is great. It would be great if Mission Boulevard Linear Park had X. And so if there's a couple specific things you didn't get to share already, please raise your hand and let us know now. This is a good time to take a couple minutes for that.
Okay, I see Marie raised her hand. I'm gonna unmute you.
Yeah, just one other thing is if we could have, I know drinking fountains are not cool right now, but some sort of a water place for animals and or humans,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that would be what I would like to see.
Thank you, Marie.
Right.
We have Paul Davidson.
Yeah, so along with the water situation, I'd like to see more trash cans available so that we don't have the litter problem.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that as part of the design and construction, we are going to provide attractive big delis that you've seen around downtown and some other locations at appropriate intervals to at least deal with some of the trash that gets thrown away.
Okay, we have Stacia. Go ahead, Stacia.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I'm fairly new to the community, and I know we mentioned earlier about a place for dogs. Would it be possible to have like dog poop stations? Stations where there's dog bags and a place for people to actually pick up the dog poop and put it in the trash, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And then maybe having like a little dog park or a little section where dogs can go. And I know someone else mentioned a grassy area.
Thank you, Stacia.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Stacia. I think Alex was saying yes there, and I would just reiterate, thank you. Yeah, this is the feedback we want, and excellent, because we're going to take this into account and really try to work these spaces in for you.
There's also some suggestions in the chat, additional waste bins, and also a way for maintenance staff to access the park without parking in the bike lane.
Great. We'll go to the next one. We have, so my favorite park in the whole world is blank because, so we're curious about some of these other things beyond Hayward and beyond the kind of meeting needs. What's one of your favorite parks? Maybe tell us a little snippet why.
Okay, I have Paul Davidson. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, I love Golden Gate Park for so many reasons.
Paul, do you feel okay giving us like one or two thoughts on why? What makes it special for you?
Well, it has various recreational areas in it, which I know is not possible to do here, but there's a golf course, there's historic windmills, there's areas for people to ride their bikes and walk without road traffic. And it's just a beautiful historic place.
Great, thank you.
I agree, Paul.
Hi, I was given the notice to unmute. This is Mimi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. There are so many different kinds of parks. Like one of my favorites is Tivoli in Copenhagen, but that's a combined amusement and garden. And then you have something like Filoli, which is an old mansion that has amazing, absolutely amazing grounds around it. But we're talking about, what, hundreds of acres. So it's hard to really answer this in a way that would help you because we're talking about a very narrow and short piece of property along a road. But when I think of a park, I think of gardens and I think of trees and beautiful flower arrangements and things like that. I don't think that we can have the beautiful flower arrangements and hanging baskets, but the trees, we already have a start on, and that's a good thing.
Mimi, that's great. Thank you very much for that feedback. I mean, I think there's different things we hear in your voices, which is good because, you know, whether it's kind of this extra step towards curation or care or maybe a hint of exuberance in something. I mean, these things are great feedback. I saw someone said Regent's Park in London, and I said, sorry, not helpful, but it is very helpful. That's an incredible park and space there I've been to. So this is all very, very intriguing for us to hear about you and what things strike you in different ways. Okay, UC Davis Arboretum. Excellent. Okay. So let's go to the next question. My favorite place in Hayward is blank because, so again, we're kind of about you guys. Like you can tell me it's the Sonic or the 7-Eleven or the bonsai tree in the Japanese garden. I think these are things we're curious about what strikes you. And we know it kind of may seem slightly esoteric or outside of park making, but we want to get to know you a bit more too. So feel free to share some of your favorite points of interest in Hayward or special parks. Okay, the Japanese gardens. Paul says it's house. Excellent.
Okay, I have a speaker. Mimi wants to answer that. Go ahead, Mimi.
Yes, so as already noted, if I have someone coming to visit from out of town, I will try to take them to the Japanese gardens because that is just a beautiful place. The other thing is what we have. We're lucky very here that we can look out on the Garin Hills.
Anyone else want to raise their hand? Marie, go ahead and unmute.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I love the redwoods. They're not really Hayward, I guess. They're you go behind Hayward where the redwoods are. I love that part of Hayward because I came from the peninsula where we have skyline and the redwoods there. And when I moved over here and I found those, I was like, yes. So that's it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, I have a caller. Last 3 digits of the phone number 530. Can you unmute yourself?
Yes, hello, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. My name's Pamela, and I live, I know a few of the ladies that have spoken. My home backs up to all this strip of land on Mission. So when our windows are open, you know, we hear Mission quite easily. A lot of the trees do give us privacy, and they cut back on some of the noise. It does the whole strip, of course, starting from Blanche all the way down to the United Church of Hayward area. So my question is, and I'm assuming it's going to be, but will there be trimming up of the trees, the oleanders, which are overloaded in my yard? Will a lot of the trees be trimmed, but not chopped? I mean, so the people that live along this whole strip will still have some privacy. Since we didn't get a fence, will it still be allowing privacy by the trees not being cut? Will they be cleaning up the tree areas is what I'm saying, the whole way? Will they be trimming them back to improve the appearance for all the homes that back up to them on our side?
So we are considering that a comment and we'll take it, and we appreciate it. That you don't want the trees to be removed, but you want them to be trimmed. So that's some privacy.
I wasn't asking to be removed by any means. No, I love nature. I wasn't insinuating that. I just said, will they be trimmed up? Now, I'm not talking the big ones. I'm talking the ones that are looking spiny and, you know, that are just, as you say, maybe not you, but as been said, maybe some of the homeless, I know they need a place to stay, but not necessarily, you know, on the street. So I'm just wondering, are there any plans for any of that area to be trimmed up, some of the bushes that are looking a little shabby? That's all.
And we are receiving your comment and we appreciate it, and I wrote it down. And we are going to speak to it at one of the next meetings as to what the plans are.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go to the fifth question. My favorite garden or landscape is, if you feel you have one more other thought on this, you want to share different aspect of what landscape and garden means to you, let us know.
Okay, we have Marie.
Okay. Garden and landscape to me means something inviting, but easy to maintain. Succulents is a favorite, and flowers. I love flowers. So those kinds of things, flowering bushes are good as long as they're maintained and they don't overtake. So to me, that's a garden to me. And maybe have some landscape elements in the garden, you know, like the exercise stuff that was mentioned before. That would be nice. Thank you.
Thank you, Marie.
Paul Davidson.
Yeah, hi. It would be super nice to have some flowering plants of different colors. Up till date, the only color we really get is the oleanders, but I would like to see some planting areas in the, between the asphalt path and the road.
Great. Thank you, Paul. And I see a follow-up here. The Cannery Water Tower Park in Hayward was a place to visit, a cohesive color scheme and interest throughout the year, and filled with native plants and attract wildlife. Excellent. That kind of goes into the theme of biodiversity. Someone mentioned. Great. We'll go to the next question. Okay, if you could rename Mission Boulevard Linear Park, what would it be? I know we put it on the spot, but you know, we'll give you a couple minutes.
We have quite a few. Okay, so we have.
All right.
Yeah. Currently, I would call it the drag strip, but I would like to rename it to Nice Place to Walk.
Thank you. Marie?
How about Fair Lane?
Thank you.
Sorry, Marie, can I, that's interesting. And then is that because of the neighborhood relationship to this, or?
It's in Fairway and it's a lane.
Yeah.
Fair Lane.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay, we have Mimi.
Hi, this is Mimi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So at the southern end of the linear park where the entrance to Hayward sign is, there is a tree that people in the community planted with a little marker thing underneath it. And it was for Holly Rogers. Holly Rogers is a person who dedicated decades, actually decades of her life to the betterment of the community, and passed away a number of years ago at the very young age of 61. And if a park name that would actually be a person's name be considered, I think she would be the one most appropriate, because she, as I said, dedicated decades of her life to the betterment of Fairway Park and Hayward. And her name is Holly, Holly Rogers, Rogers. And you can, ask around for more information about her, whatever. There's so many people will remember everything that she did in the community.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it.
Fantastic. Thank you. And a couple other chat ones: Indy 500 Speedway, Fairway Park, Fairway Strolling Park, and then Garin Gateway. So great. Very helpful. Let's go to the next slide, Ty. Okay. We thought this is a good forum too to pick up on some of your feedback that maybe we didn't, hear in the first round here. So another 20 minutes or so on this, if you could still kind of limit it to about 2 or 3 minutes on your comments now.
Okay, we have Mimi.
So I don't know if you are aware of the circles. There's 2 circles in the neighborhood at intersections of the street because of drag racing and things like that. But when we were asked about what should go there planting wise, the city was very surprised because they expected us to give a list of all kinds of plants and flowers and bushes and everything. But we know that the city has a tight budget. We know that water is scarce. And we know that lots of bushes collect lots of trash. And so if you go to look at them, it is very minimal. It's just 5 trees planted, 3 of one kind, 2 of another. I wish the hardscape was something nicer, but we understand the need for drought tolerant We understand the situation with the city budget, and something really, really that has to be focused on is the reality of the maintenance that can happen for this property, because it would be better for it to be attractively sparse and lean and well maintained than to have lots of flowers and bushes that do not get trimmed when they should and have trash collect around them. I absolutely love sweeping sections of flowers. I love poppies. I love all the native plants and everything, and it would be great to have that. But I know from experience, when you have poppies, after their bloom, they look horribly weedy. And unless you have the maintenance staff to come out on a regular basis to pull things that are looking weedy, then we can't afford to enjoy them. We have to find something else that can sit there looking pretty for a while until the city landscape maintenance department can get to it.
Yes.
Thank you, Mimi. We have Dale. Go ahead, Dale.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. I have a few things I've been holding back on. One of the things taking a look at is that, in my estimation, we do have the ivy and the oleanders, which have not been kept up. And I don't think, unless they are kept up, that they're going to be a beautiful segment of what we're hoping for on the linear park. Also, we do need to keep the weeds out. I don't think that the city has done a good job up to this point of keeping the weeds down in control. Also, we do need to have drought-resistant plants and trees. I lost some trees that were taken out here for the mission beautification, and I get a lot of noise here. I am very upset because the noise is so heavy, and that's because that they took what trees that we had behind our house away, so I don't have anything to block. And my last comment is that we have an overabundance of gophers. And what are you going to do to get rid of those gophers? Otherwise, they're going to tear up anything that you want to put in there.
Thank you, Dale.
Dale, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think that's really helpful. We'll take note of that.
And then we have Paul.
Sorry, to continue on, yeah, the gophers have been an issue, and they've invaded my property, which backs up to Mission Boulevard as well. And I've noticed 3 of the pine trees that are just south of Corinne are dead because of construction. So I'd like to see those replanted. And then, yeah, the oleanders and ivy are big issues. I would like to see those removed. I understand oleanders are drought tolerant, but then again, they're very toxic. And I have an autistic grandson who walks in that area and likes to touch those things, and I'm afraid they're going to make him sick.
Thank you, Paul. I don't have any more raised hands at this point.
Just a second here.
Yep. Let's give it another minute and see if there are any other comments. Okay.
All right. Paul? Go ahead.
Yeah, as mentioned earlier, at the I first brought up, is there plans to do some maintenance between now and next fall when this construction project is over? It's really looking blighted out there right now.
Thank you, Paul. Mimi?
Hi, thank you. Something that occurred to me is this was part of the Mission Boulevard Phase 2 project. And in the discussions of that project, we, the community, always asked, are you going to do the landscaping to the end of the city limit? Because there's a part of the city that the city always forgets about, and we would be told yes. And we'd say, are you sure? Okay. And then for the whole time, it was kind of never clearly stated. And then towards the end, we found out that in actuality, it was hedging on the comments, because the city finished to the end of the project where Hayward stops on the street. But on the west side, Hayward continues on till 3 houses before Tamarack. And we were very upset because nothing was going to be done in that section. And we called on the city that they had to do that too. They can't leave that part undone. And they agreed that the city landscaping department would do something from there all the way down to the end of Hayward residence landscaping area, the planter strip that goes down to 3 houses before Tamarack and so on. And I haven't heard anything about it, and I haven't seen anything about it. And the Mission Boulevard Phase 2 project is pretty much done, except for this component that was pulled out. So I guess this really isn't for you, Surface Design, as it is for Alex, as to what about that still happening? And if it has to be put into this project to do it, put it into this project to do it, because you've left out a segment of the community here. You have not finished the landscaping for the west side of where there are Hayward residents on Mission Boulevard. Thank you.
Ms. Bauer, we are going to look into it and get back to you. Okay. Tim or Dave?
Yeah.
I just wanted to note that, and there's also the chat from Lola reiterating the maintenance. So we are taking note of that. And also, since there's no fencing behind the houses that are behind the area, there needs to be barrier that looks and can be maintained easily. We will note that. Thank you, Lola.
So our closing comments, I mean, we wanted to say thank you, for this process and being part of it, and your openness to converse with us and share on this is really appreciated. Dave picked up on the next meetings when we'll have those subsequently. And again, just wanted to remind you that there is a questionnaire, and even at the bottom, if you don't want to answer questions, you can fill in some further comments on the City of Hayward website. You search that will be available. Thank you, Ty, for that.
Yeah,
I also
and
want to
definitely
add,
please just make it happen. We can do this for you. Just be open and let us know.
absolutely. And I just want on my part, thank you for the constructive, great comments that you made. I was personally taking notes here. We are going to definitely look into them, get some answers for you, and to the extent that we can incorporate your comments into the conceptual design and talk to you next time about them. Also, as another reminder that we have the meeting on site on Monday, both in the morning at Blanche and in the evening at Corinne. And we encourage you to attend if you have time and interest, and provide more comments, look at our displays, and we'll go from there. Thank you very much for your participation, and have a good evening.
You can come at any time during those windows too of time. So it's not necessarily a start and an end. You got to be there at the start, but you can join any. Anything further, Dave? For you?
No, just making you're seeing the screen, the survey. That survey will be uploaded fairly soon, and you can get that survey. Certainly not limiting, tonight for any questions or any comments you may have. Once you get to the website that's shown on the screen right now, it will take you to the survey, and you can definitely certainly look forward to hearing any comments, any answer to some of these questions that we've asked here tonight. So really appreciate your time.
And this presentation was recorded. It's going to be on the website, so those neighbors that have not been able to attend this meeting, they can go on the webpage for the project and view the presentation, the slides, and the questions that you have raised. Thank you.
Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good weekend.
Have a good weekend, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.